to see me loving on a car that many people hate, like the Prius, or the Camry or Corolla. Something boring, something basic, and I just love it. But today that's not the case. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite cars that is one of the most hated in the auto industry, and by the end you're going to see if you agree with me or you don't agree with me. But first, before I show you the actual car, I'm going to walk you through the steps on why people hate it. This is a brand new Audi TT, or at least the interior of a brand new Audi TT. Now, you see the luxuriousness of this car, right? It's a very luxurious, nice car, and if you bought it right now, that would be fun to zoom around, fun on the track. It's a very fun and unique, interesting car, right? Right? You know, this thing is so cool. The interior is so cool. Everything about it is just so nice. Not only is it sporty, but it's also very, very luxurious. It has so many features, heated seats, everything in this car is leather, very, very nice. A lot of electronics in this car just to make the driving experience better, right? That's what these luxury brands do, especially German car brands. We can see all the technology in the steering wheel and everywhere. It's great, everything's optimized for you. And Audi's been doing this for a very long time. And that's kind of the issue. You see, this car might be great now, but let's say it's really old. Audi's been making cars like this forever, right? The Audi TT has been made since the 1990s. This is a 2002 Audi TT. And, well, it still has a lot of the same features. Leather everywhere, a lot of electronics. It's still a very nice car, but the issue is, as things get older, they're just not the same anymore. Things get corroded, things break. This issue of cars being built cheaper and cheaper and getting more expensive isn't a recent issue. This has been happening over the entire life of the car industry, which is only a couple hundred years old. Well, maybe even 100 years old. A couple hundred is stretching it. But yeah, so this has been an issue for a while, which means these older cars that may seem like really cool, as I know when I was growing up, a lot of the cars that I loved, had posters of on my wall, are rotting away. The first generation Prius, those are all rotting away in junkyards. I had a poster of it in my room, and now you can't even find one anymore, right? That's just what happens to these cars. Wiring gets old, people throw them out, go to dumpsters, but yet still people buy these, right? Because when you're buying it, you get something out of it. You get a fun, nice, zoom around car, and it's worth fixing the problems for. Because this car is pretty comparable. I won't say pretty comparable, but I'll say it's similar to this car. I mean, they are essentially the exact same car. Of course, the new one's better, but you still get a lot of fun when buying the old car. So it's worth buying this old enthusiast car and fixing it up, right? Because it's a cool car. You're getting a lot out of it. If you're buying something like a 2002 Toyota Camry, if it had the same wiring problems and all those issues, that wouldn't really be worth it, because you're just getting a daily driver, and you can buy one of those slightly newer and have slightly less issues. But thank God, Toyotas don't have those problems, because they're not as luxurious, less electronics. Which means if I were to buy this car, they're gonna have a lot less electronical problems, like this one did. When we were all growing up, we always thought our grandparents were insane for buying cheaper cars, saying that the more stuff there is, the more stuff's gonna break. But in a lot of times they were right. Like this old Toyota Camry, still perfectly hanging around on the roads today. This one, sensors, beeping, the engine light, check engine, wiring problems. All this stuff is just happening because this is such a nice, luxurious car, and it's so aware of itself, right? You take your seatbelt off, there's one's binging, screaming at you to put it back on. Someone could be doing a kickstand out of the trunk of this Toyota Camry, and it couldn't care any less. That's just the difference between these two cars. One of these has a lot of electronics and a lot more wiring than the other. Now, a lot of people are going to say that they're extremely similar cars, just because of the age of the Audi. Yes, but you have to admit it is definitely more technologically advanced than the Camry, right? So, again, like I said, buying that is worth it. Buying something like this, if it didn't have the same problems, wouldn't really be worth it, but thank God these really don't. But boring sedans, right? What do you get from buying a boring sedan when you could just buy a newer one? Well, I would say a lot of people buy used Audis more in the speed area, right? And a lot of them don't really buy used luxury vehicles from Audi or used sedans at all. People are not really buying new sedans anymore, and a lot of people are buying used sedans. But they're more buying the Camrys and less the more luxurious cars. Now, these cars, this is only a 2010. In my opinion, that's like yesterday. But yeah, these cars are just so nice, right? They're just such luxurious cars. And the reason why people aren't usually buying them is just because, yes, they are luxury cars, but also they could buy a Lexus. That's going to last longer, right? People know their brands. It's different from the 2000s where someone bought a car in your family and it was all new, right? Like I remember someone in my family bought an Acura and we were like, what's that? We weren't really familiar with Acura because, we lived in Oregon. No, we had almost no car dealerships out there. But, people aren't really buying, to sum it up, people aren't really buying these older, luxurious, Audis because you're not getting a lot out of them. All these features are in newer, more modern, cheaper cars. These hold their value insanely well, and that's why we don't really see a lot of people just going out and buying used Audi sedans, right? It's a lot of these older, fun Quattro ones and less of these just, dare I say, boring everyday cars. Now, the A5 isn't what I would describe as boring or an everyday car at all, but, these more luxurious cars, people aren't really buying them so much in the modern era. And I'm not just bashing on on Audi at all. Same with Mercedes. If I tried to buy this 2002 Mercedes C240, I'm sure it would have all the electronical issues waiting for me. I'm sure, again, every single luxurious car brand, German, Swedish, these older cars all have problems. Just because they've survived such a long time, they're kind of on their deathbed, and it's up to you to give them CPR and kind of revive them, Start replacing the limbs when they go bad. So, why do people buy old used Audi TTs? Because they're fun, you can drift them. But, like I said, if you have the Audi TT, you buy it, right? You usually have another car to supplement that. A Prius if you are a normal person, or a Corolla if you hate the Prius, and that's what you drive to work, right? The TT is for fun. What if you could buy an everyday car, from the least enthusiast car from an enthusiast car company? That's the Audi Allroad. First of all, just why the Allroad is bad. The sedans in general, again, not specifically the A5, they are usually slower than faster, lighter cars, right? Convertibles. Oftentimes that's the truth, right? And they're still fun, but they're not as fun, right? Especially when they're not a coupe. This thing is like, well, not that thing. This thing is like the epitome to fun. This car company has had such a great history. You have all these fun, fast, amazing cars with the W12 engines, all the crazy Volkswagen German engineering. And then you have this, a family everyday wagon with more problems than it has functionalities. That's why people hate the Allroad. Number one, if I'm buying a used Audi TT, I can have fun with it, right? It's worth fixing. I can have so much fun with that. But if I'm fixing this Audi Allroad, what am I getting out of it? It's just a Corolla. It's a slower Corolla. The transmissions, the engines that they put in these things, they suck. And you want to know what makes it even worse than all the problems that they have, every single one of them? It's that this Audi S4 Avant, wagon Quattro automatic, pretty good example. This is a decent one because a lot of these are absolutely thrashed. This is what I would call a good Allroad. Pretty decent, pretty nice, pretty luxurious. Wait, no, this isn't even an Allroad. I picked the wrong thing. Ugh. Pretend this is an Allroad. Anyway, essentially, a lot of these, especially at this price point, have held their value insanely well, to the point where these older Audi TTs are holding their price, a lot less than these Allroads and wagons are. Oh, I forgot it was the Avant. Come on. Grrr. Dang you, Auto Tempest. I hate the car sorting thing. It never works. Plus, what you want to know what really doesn't help? They don't have an Audi Allroad category, so I have to put S4 and then wagon for it to show anything before 2010. It's very annoying. That's how this happened, in case you're wondering. Pretend like this is an Allroad, right? These funner cars, not just the TT. I'm just using the TT as I think it's a pretty fun, good example of a fun, cheap, little light Audi, right? A lot of these cheaper, fun cars are a lot cheaper than the Allroad, and you just get less with the Allroad, and there's more luxurious stuff on it, which means it's gonna break. For this price, for $12,975, I realize that's a little bit high for an Allroad, I could get a 2016 Volvo V60 Drive-E Premier. This is a much better car. In fact, I would much rather have this car than have the Audi wagon. That's true for a lot of these. And also, let's say you are going to get a wagon, right? You do want a luxurious wagon from the mid to late thousands, right? There's just better options out there. You have the you have the XC70 from Volvo, a ultimate killer off-road wagon. That thing slaps. You have stuff like the V70R, one of the fastest, most, drag down and dirty wagons you can buy. Just absolutely amazing. And then you have stuff like the Super Outback, which is just better at being an kind of off-road but kind of not lower to the ground wagon than the Allroad is. And it doesn't have the unreliability issues because all these wagons are simpler and easier to fix than the Allroad. In fact, this 2002 Super Outback Base is only going for $3,900. And let me tell you, this thing probably offers more in terms of functionality. It's not like I'm buying my Audi Allroad for the leather, right? It's just for it, This is the Audi Allroad. Is it great at off-roading? No. People wanted SUVs, the Audi SIP wagon. That's just kind of how it worked. Are these bad cars? No, they're not bad cars. Not at all. They're not bad. They're just weird, and they're just not worth it. You know what I mean? So why do I love them? Well, first of all, the first time that I knew of the Audi Allroad, when I was a kid, I was more into the Volvos. The Volvo just has so much, diversity in their lineup. You have the V70R with the, the sporty big engine, and then you have the XC70, which can go pretty much anywhere as long as it's not a boulder. And and then you have the Allroad, which is bad at being an off-roader because the air suspension stinks. It's bad at being an everyday car because the air suspension stinks, and the transmission stinks, and the engine stinks. And So how did I first find out about how people hated the Allroad? My friends started talking about it in 2004 or whatever. This was hated back then. Now it's especially hated because of all the issues and all the problems that it had, right? I think we've all seen the Doug DeMuro video. I'm going to level with you. I think we have all seen this thing.
It was horrible.
Yeah, so we can see, remember this, where he crushes it with the Defender? I absolutely love this Doug DeMuro video. It was great. Yeah, great. I'm not going to play an ad, but you just get what I mean. So many people hated the Allroad. So why do I love it? Well, it's not because I love that it's hated or something. I don't love the Prius because it's hated and that makes me, it's wrong for liking it or something. Ugh, no. The reason why I like the Allroad is because it is a jack of all trades, a master of none. You know what I mean? It is so perfectly bland and mediocre. It's just so amazing. So first of all, we have a black plastic bumper, even though the bumper is already painted, which is useless, and it doesn't look durable, it just looks plasticky. That's one of the most things that I hate about it, this just black, just line. I think it looks good, I don't think it looks great. The wheels are a little bit weird too. So why do I like this car? Because it's a jack of all trades, master of none. I would absolutely love to have one of these and just go off-roading with it. It's so fun. Low ground clearance, but a kind of durable vehicle in some ways. It's not a bad car at all. I mean, just look at it. It's so luxurious. It's so cute, and my favorite part about the Allroad, especially this generation, it gives off the 90s vibe. We've seen the green interior with the Doug DeMuro video. Yeah. This car is straight out of the 90s. I love the mismatched looking wood. The steering wheel, the digital gauge cluster that they were really trying for. Oh, it's so perfect. I love this car. It's just so cute. You don't often see wagons that are cute. My XC70, which is what I would buy if I ever wanted a wagon, right? Second closest, the Jetta. I wouldn't buy this. I'm sorry. This is some cars like Paganis, right? You look at them, they're cool, but I would never want to own that because the maintenance costs. This is one of them. This would probably be pretty reliable. I could probably tolerate the maintenance on that. But, same with this. This is a car you admire from afar. Now, are they bad cars? No. I've heard they're exceptionally okay in the snow. They're 100% money pits, but I just love the 90s wagon style to it. I love 90s Audi, and it's so nice that I have an Audi from the 90s that is exactly in the category that I like it. Hybrid wagons, that's up there for me. That's the best combination. Love wagons, love hybrids, together, perfect. This car is not a hybrid, but it is perfect, and it just features that Audi look, It looks like I would have a disposable paper cup with a little lid on it, and I'd be walking out to my car in 2004 or anything, to watch the latest episode of Friends. It's just it's perfect, you know? I love it so much. It reminds me of like living in Colorado or something, you know, like those neighbors who had the Allroad, you know, the fancy one. I just ramble it. You know, rambling. Cars like this I like for so many different disconjointed reasons that make up a halfway decent one to make me like this car. I have so many of those. And this is definitely one of them, and I love it so much. This wagon, it has the look. You know, I'm sure it would be great off road. And as humans, we like to care for things that need cared for, right? We love to feel needed. This is one of the most needy cars you will ever find. It's so fulfilling. Anyway, if I had to buy one, right? I had to buy an Allroad. I would probably buy something like this, a 2013 Allroad. First of all, it's slightly more reliable, ever so slightly. Number two, it's about 20 years newer, 11 years newer. No, yeah, good lord, 2002 wasn't that long ago. It's about 11 years newer, and, you know, I feel like this would have less issues. This one's also low mileage, high price, which, I mean, it's not bad. The interior is okay. I would really like the older Allroad. You know, that's another thing what I don't like about the Allroad. If I were to buy this old XC70, I could take that in the dirt, right? I could take that mud, I could abuse this thing, and it'd be fine. It would take it 100%, no questions asked. The Allroad looks like it could, and then you take it off, it burns its transmission, and then you need an all-new one, right? This car, yeah, you know, it's very shaky. Something like this, if I think I wasted the money, the $14,700 on this car, to drive it, I don't think I would ever drive it. I don't think I would buy it. I think I would buy it. It would sit in the yard. I would eventually end up donating it in 2030 when I finally said, get that thing out of here. And I finally got tired of looking at its sorry face, you know. It's not a bad car. It's just not one that I want to own. So that's why I like my short ramblings. That's why I like one of the most hated cars in enthusiast car history, at least.